guys, I hope you're doing well. Harden here, back with the first Eve Echoes video in a long time. I thought I'd do a quick update simply on my Raven and current setup for both AI and for the Abyss. This is kind of the first period where I haven't really been actually doing anything to kind of boost my battleship. I actually got a dread about 6 months ago, back in January, and I've pretty much been putting all my skill points into that. So from the skills perspective, nothing has really kind of progressed on this ship. I've just kind of made some incremental improvements in terms of the Nanocore, the implants and so on. So I thought I'd just run through those to give you a bit of an idea of the kind of capabilities of these Ravens now. I know there's a few missile fans out there, so I hope you enjoy this. Anyway, let's jump in first. This is my AI fit, which I kind of run pretty much every day during the day when I'm kind of around. So again, because it often stops, I have to kind of restart the thing, and some days I don't finish it at all. But anyway, let me jump in first. Okay, so this is the cold DPS. This is obviously with rapid missiles, which obviously don't have the highest DPS, but are very, very effective in AI in terms of hitting those kind of smaller ships and clearing things. I did a lot of testing with the different missile types, with range and torps and so on, and definitely rapids were the best and most effective for AI. In terms of the rest of the setup there, you can just see a web, 2 target painters and 1 Nosferatu, which helps with keeping the ship cap stable. And then here you can see down here is I've got a couple of these new assault hurricanes, which I got simply from the event box. I've just done the first week of the event and was able to pick some drones. Again, I'm not, in terms of capitals, I only fly a Dreadnought. I haven't really used it, to be honest. I've been putting a lot of skills into that, but don't really use it that often. But in terms of the drones, I wasn't interested in any of the fighter drones because I haven't got any skills for those. So I basically went for, I haven't got any carrier skills. I just basically went for normal sort of drones. And I had been using assault berserkers, and I have now switched over to these assault hurricanes. Basically they do a slight amount of extra DPS and they have a faster flight velocity, but yesterday was the first time I used them, so I don't really know how much better they are. But anyway, I just thought I'd kind of flag that up just so you guys can see that this is definitely a very recent video because this only came out a few days ago. Okay, and then the rest of the setup is kind of very high DPS, very high, 4 ballistic controls, 1 target painter, and a very minimal tank, which is 1 shield booster, which I find is perfectly fine. In terms of the shield booster, I'll give you an idea. You can see the shield booster amount is 1695, and that actually is enough for this ship to kind of easily tank any of the kind of high sec encounters that it does. I've never had any issues, never lost a ship, at least not in the last year or so with this kind of setup. It works perfectly. I normally finish my AI, you obviously have the 50 encounters when you're doing the high sec encounters, and this will normally finish in about 6.5 or 6.2 hours, which leaves a couple of extra amethysts, so you're not actually using the full 8 hours, 8 amethysts, which means that you're a little bit more sustainable, especially since NetEase increased the cost of the amethyst and reduced the kind of drop rate of those. So I do still have a large stockpile, which will probably last me for about 6 or 7 months on current kind of consumption. But anyway, let's quickly just jump into the Nanocore so you can see that. And again, I'm not quite sure how much has changed since the last time I did this video, but you can see here the expanded attributes. I have now pushed that up to 3 unlocked. The 4th one, in terms of the kind of the amount to do the 4th one, I think is actually not worth it. I can't remember. I think there's one other kind of damage thing I could unlock and use there, but simply if you look at the learning protocol library here, you can see I'm using torpedo damage there and large missile activation, and the other one I would use is explosion velocity, which again, as I'm using rapids, they already are actually very good at hitting small fast ships quite well. If I was going to add, that would be the next one that I would add, but basically the requirements here, and so especially in terms of these red ones, are kind of insane. I don't really spend that much real cash on this game, so I don't really buy those extra boxes where you can get extra nanocore materials like this. But the actual amount, so I'm basically relying on the Concord passive end where you get those keys and open those. So I'm just collecting slowly, bit by bit, and the requirement here to unlock that is just kind of insane, especially with the kind of failure rate on this. So maybe one day I will unlock it on this ship, but for now, I think if I was going to do anything, I would kind of look at doing my third one on some of my PvP cores rather than doing it on this, because this ship already works pretty well. In terms of other kind of attributes here, I will show you, again, I don't know if this has changed since the last video, but basically you've got missile torpedo damage 18%, missile torpedo damage there, an extra 8.66%, capacitor 10.64, missile torpedo thermal damage, which is very important because that meshes with the implant, and then the shield is plus 11.2%. And again, I didn't actually flag these up, but you've also got a 22.5% missile torpedo thermal damage here on this selection. So anyway, that's this ship kind of setup. The only other thing I will show is if I jump back out of this, so I've got to move that out of the corner there. Is I forgot to show the rigs here. You can see it's partly integrated, or sorry, the damaged rigs are all integrated. You can see here it's bayloading, accelerator, and warhead calefaction, which is a DPS combination, and here you've got bayloading, accelerator, and warhead calefaction, which again is a DPS accelerator, and then finally the last one is defensive oriented, which is core defense charge economizer, which is the shield booster and is boosted by 24%. And then you've got the core operation solidifier, which is the activation time. So basically what that means is my shield booster does provides additional repair per cycle, and also cycles faster. And again, on the other side of things, you have got the capacitor control circuit for semiconductor memory cell, and that basically means that the cap here is stable. So even running that shield booster with no hardness, well, basically the shield booster with no hardness is enough to run AI missions, so it's very kind of offensively based. I will show you, I'm just going to undock for a second. I will show you the DPS on this once I kind of activate, put it into the right sort of nanocore, implant mode. So here we go, we're outside the station here. Let me just stop the ship. Okay, so you can see here, this is using the warhead charge. So I'm just simply going to change it into the thermal mode, because there's two bonuses on the thermomagnetic implant which this meshes with, and that really does bump up the DPS. So I normally run it in this mode here, one more, that's the EM mode, and then here is the thermal mode. Okay, so if I jump in now to the ship DPS here, you can see that it's now 6,178 in cold, which is extremely nice DPS, especially as it is rapids. It actually delivers that DPS. That's part of the reason why the tank is so weak, is because the actual amount of DPS that is being put out and delivered means that the NPCs don't really have that much chance to do damage themselves. So that's why the one shield booster is enough to sustain this tank. So that is 6,178. You can see if I jump onto the missiles here, onto the rapids, you can see that the range is 54 kilometers, which again, if you're warping at 0 on these AIs, is more than enough. You very rarely get an NPC battleship move outside that range, very, very rarely, because normally they all die before the BS can actually move out of range. So it works very, very well. And then finally, I will show you just the hot version. So if you hold on 1 second, let's do that. And then you can see the hot, which you can see that the DPS now is 11,207. Again, that's kind of enhanced by a couple of the GUs I've got on here, which I will show you in a second. But you can see that's 11,207 hot. It does last for quite a while. Obviously the AI just kind of cycles up whenever they come through. Because of the GUs, it does take a little bit longer to cycle. You do have a bit more of a cooldown on that. But again, so you can see there it's 175 seconds, which is basically 3 minutes. So it does allow the AI can probably use that once or twice per wave, depending on when it uses it. But obviously, the AI is a bit stupid, so it probably uses it often before it's even locked. It started using it before it's even locked targets, so it's not optimal. But you can see the kind of DPS there, 11,000 plus 11,000. I'm just going to dock up, and I will show you my implant here. All this. Hope this is recording. I did record a video the other week and then discovered afterwards that you hadn't recorded my voice. So I do hope this is working. But yeah, let me just jump into the implant mode here so you can have a look at the implant and the GUs. Basically here are all my main implants, basically with the kind of lower end, I've forgotten the name of the things, the sort of injectors to boost the skills. Basically I have been bumping up a lot of these lower level implants simply for the insta buff that you get for having kind of more implants leveled up. So the injectors, I can't remember the name for those, but basically as I add them in, the lower end ones that I can't use for my high end, basically I'm kind of leveling those up. Basically the most important ones is the warhead charge, which I've got to level 40. I stopped there because again the requirements for boosting it up that the additional 5 levels is excessive for the amount of benefit it gives. Eventually, once I have the support projection, tactical missiles and tactical defense leveled up to 40, then I may go back to the warhead charge to squeeze that little bit extra out of it, but that's going to take a long time based on how much, again, I'm not buying these off the market, the injectors or whatever again, whatever the name is, I'm not buying those. I am just running the Abyss every week and relying on what I get through the Abyss runs. So it's taking a long time to level these up. So anyway, the warhead charge is the one I've been working on or have worked on and got that up to level 40. The tactical defense was one of those things where I did actually go out and splash money on that. If I jump into that, you can see here. Again, these are the things that I've unlocked. I've unlocked the passive skill for capacitor recharge time. So again, just makes the ship a lot more cap stable. And then also I have used this one, which is the scanning resolution, and also reduces damage from drone weapons, which isn't really relevant for running these AI missions because I think it's more kind of laser based. But the scan resolution does mean you lock a little bit faster, which again is kind of helpful for AI stuff. So that's the implant there, and I will just jump out of that. And then support projection and tactical missiles are two kind of useful implants for missile users, or they provide some nice options, especially for PvP. You can surprise people I think with the tactical missiles you can actually put scram if you get lucky with your missiles, and with the support projection you can actually use it to slow your targets down or even eat their cap or turn off modules, which again can be a nasty surprise, especially for some of the smaller ships who suddenly find that they're actually warp scrambled when facing a battleship. But anyway, I'll go back into the warhead charge here quickly. I'll do the development here so you can see what GUs I've got on this now. So I'll quickly run through. So this is, as I said, is almost maxed. I've got another 5 levels, although I'm not sure if I'll ever complete those. In terms of the general units, I have a ballistic control overheating system. I'm not actually sure what that does. And what that does is it increases the activation time. So it does slow down the reactivation, but increases the activation time boost to 48%. So when the AI does activate, it does last that bit longer, which again for AI is pretty useful. But I also have a kind of countering that slightly is I have the efficiency optimization, which basically what that does is it increases the damage but reduces the activation time. So they kind of counter each other. The other one increases the activation time by 48 and this one reduces it by 38, so overall it's an 18% increase in the activation time. And this one also increases the damage boost effect, but then counter that, the other one also increases the cooldown period. So I'm not sure. I think the DPS edition is worth it. So anyway, that's why I've got both of those. This one here is precision missile guidance. You see I have got a missile guidance GU on missile guidance unit on this ship. This is one which I do swap out. This one I only use for the AI fit, with basically because it reduces the range boost by missile guidance, and actually, but again, it doesn't really matter, but what it does is it improves the explosion velocity and the explosion radius, which again makes the ship more effective at killing smaller, faster targets, which again in the high sec encounters, proportionally there's a lot more smaller cruiser and smaller ships than there are battleships, so this kind of makes it more effective in that way. I do swap this one out when I go to my PvP build. I use tracking computers or tracking disruptors, and I normally swap this one out because in PvP you don't want the reduction to the range, especially if I am using a missile guidance computer, then usually it's because I want that range. So again, it's one of those ones. It depends on what I'm chasing. If I'm chasing smaller stuff, then I leave this one in. But if I'm going after battleships and I'm using the tracking disruptors, then I put the tracking disruptor GU in there. You can't see that here because that's down in my station 0.0 where I use that. Then in addition to that, what I've got is I've got the target painting output burst, which reduces the range of the target painting module, but does increase the signature radius effect. You see on this build I have 2 target painting modules. Again, I'm going in at 0, so the range isn't important for this, and basically what it does is it just helps your missiles do more damage and apply more damage, which is kind of very important for missiles, especially against those smaller ships. So that's why that's the logic for that one. And again, where have I got to here? Okay, here, this one is a shield booster, output boost. So as you can see, this ship had the only defense is that shield booster, and what this does is it provides an additional 28% in terms of repair. It does have a cost, which is an additional 25% on terms of the activation, but this ship is very cap stable, so that doesn't really matter, and so the additional repair is very helpful. And then finally here we've got an overheated boost damage control, which basically applies to ballistics. Oh no, sorry, hang on, I'm getting confused here. Sorry, this is not damage. Sorry, this is a damage control. So this is really not relevant at all to the build here in terms of the AI. This is relevant to my PvP ships that do have a damage control. This basically increases the reactivation delay by increases the resistance, which if you're doing PvP, when you do press the damage control, in a normal fight, you're not necessarily going to get a chance to reactivate it anyway because the fights tend to be shorter. So what you do want is when it is active, you want to kind of reduce that damage, incoming damage even more. So that's why, again, that's the logic behind that. Okay, so that's the my implant there for that one. I hope that's kind of interesting, guys, and might be helpful. I don't know if it's some of you, I don't know in terms of your thinking for these. Again, probably I may not be doing things optimally. Maybe I've made some kind of mistaken assumptions there. So if you do have any suggestions on how I can improve that, please do let me know. Okay, so that was basically my AI build. I'll just quickly again just show you on here on terms of the large shield booster. You can see the shield boost amount is 1695. The one thing I will say is I did get some boxed bomber BS. Now the problem for me is, you guys know I'm just like 100% focused into missiles, so I don't have any other large any large battleship weapons trained at all, and there was no missile option. It was basically you had the Rock, the Maelstrom, the Abaddon, and the Hyperion, none of which have missile variants, don't have any bonuses for missiles. So when those came out, I wasn't particularly kind of interested in the bombers. I did look at the bonuses, and the one that was most relevant, particularly in terms of shields, that I thought was interesting was the Maelstrom. So I actually picked that up on each of my 3 accounts, but they've been sitting basically down in G-Turn. I didn't really do anything with them until yesterday, and then I thought, okay, I'll play around a bit with these. And oh my god, I've got to say the tank that you can put onto those bombers is absolutely amazing. Um, Basically, the Maelstrom, um, with, again, you're looking at this AI fit where it's like nearly 6,000 something DPS. Actually, what was that DPS? Oh yeah, that's the basic code. The DPS on the Maelstrom, again, because I don't have any weapon skills I just stuck some missile launchers on it, is only like 1,900, which is, considering where we are in Eve, if that would be perfectly respectable DPS maybe 2 years ago, but 1,900 these days, with all the kind of creep, is not actually that much. But defensively, it's absolutely insane. It can have a. I had an EHP which was around 800,000, which with three, I think it's three red hardness, and then with a bit of playing around with the three red hardeners and obviously the right kind of rigs, but with some playing around on the shield booster, I got the shield boosters to over 4,000 repair per cycle and a cycle time of about 4 seconds. So basically every cycle on this 800,000 EHP battleship, I was repping almost around 9,000, and that could be tweaked more because I didn't really have the right implant, and I've been playing with that a little bit, and I think I can probably boost it up to the region of about 5,000 per cycle on about a 4 second cycle. So that's nearly 10,000 rep per 4 seconds, which is kind of insane considering it also has nearly 800,000 EHP already. So very, very, very chunky. And I'm just trying to think of when I would actually need to use those, because and I do hope at some point NetEase will bring out a kind of missile version, because I think I could do some kind of scary stuff with that. But anyway, that's kind of an aside. I hope that wasn't too boring. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to jump into my Abyss fitting here, so you can actually have a look at that. I just opened my fitting management and Abyss tanky. So again, I've said this in other videos, so I hope it's not too boring. Is that I run the Abyss with my tools and one other colleague from my corporation, a guy who runs a mega navy, and here we go. So you can see here, this is the cold DPS on this, but again, this is while I'm docked, and it's also before I put siege mode in. The highs, obviously, missile launchers have very huge range, so I think I can't remember, it's like over 100, and it's 160 kilometers, so no issues. Even when the EW comes on in the Abyss, no problems hitting even those further things. Then a shared capacitor group and shield boost, which again is the same on all my ships, and then I have integrated wardens on there, so again they help you, the sniper wardens, they help you hit those kind of those targets that are further away, those towers that are further away. The range there is 81, and then it's got an accuracy force of 60, so that's 140, so basically it just gives that little bit of extra DPS on the further towers in the Abyss. Again, 3 damage mods there, and this one does require, because we're not using a nightmare, so this one does require 2 hardeners and a shield booster to kind of operate well. So you can see there the cold DPS is 6,545. If I undock now, a second, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the DPS once I put the siege mode on. Again, siege mode is not something, this is one of the disadvantages of missile ships, especially for PvP, is that siege mode is practically useless unless you are fighting against, or you're shooting a tower or an outpost, or capital ships that are really not moving. It doesn't really add that much additional DPS. Let me just source out the modules here, so I've got them into a nice order before I show you this. So again, here's my basic setup. Again, normally I would have the missiles grouped, but what I will do here is I'm going to drop out the that's the AI, and I'm going to put the siege mode on. So I will put on my hardness there, and then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to enter here siege mode. So again, siege mode basically means you can't walk away. Your ship is moving extremely slowly. So the only time that is really useful is in the Abyss. It's not really useful for missile users or anything. So I think that's kind of a bit unfair. I think missile users get very hard done by. Like we obviously don't have a dedicated bomber ship, and we can't use our siege mode for any kind of PvP. I mean, that's probably right. I mean, it should be that. I think no BS should be able to use their siege mode for anything other than shooting structures. But there you go. That's the way NetEase have done it, and I just think it's a bit unfair that missile users miss out. So anyway, the siege mode is on, and what I'll do is I'll jump in and I'll show you the DPS on this. So this is the standard DPS in the Abyss. Is 8,727. So that's again extremely. That's just kind of very consistent. I have pretty much the same DPS on my other two alts. I don't know what my friend in the Mega Navy is hitting, but basically this helps us chew through. We normally average in the low 2 minutes. The best we've had was 2 minutes 16 seconds, which is very kind of reasonable. I mean, obviously it's not optimal. The APOC setup is much better for the Abyss. The problem with this is that with missiles is you have to wait for that flight time, and you end up wasting flights and missiles because you have to finish off a tower even if it's only got a little sliver of health left, so it needs another volley, which you then have to kind of move on to. It means your missiles are in flight, and then before you start moving to another target. It's just not optimal for the Abyss, but again, it still works very well, and we don't have any issues there. And then finally, what I will show you on this one here is if I do activate the damage modules, the ballistic controls. If I jump in there, you can see now the DPS is basically 15,000 DPS on here, which again you can see lasts for a reasonable amount of time, which I normally activate. I think the first tower dies very quickly when it's focused. It has that extra shield extender, so normally I wait till I'm moving on to the second or third tower, and that's when I hit that, and that really helps chew through one of the towers extremely fast. So you can see there that's just finished. I only have a chance for one run, and then it's dropped back down to 8.7k. So it's nearly 15k DPS while those are active. Anyway, I think that's it. I don't know if there's anything else here I wanted to show you guys today. Maybe I will show you one of my PvP fits at some point, but again, I'm fairly active hunting, so I'm not sure I want people to see those PvP fits. But anyway, here you go. You can see the event stuff has just started. I need to get in and get my navigator program and my supplies. Anyway, guys, I hope that was interesting for you. I hope you learned something. Again, if you see something that you think would improve my setup, I'm really open. I've had lots of suggestions over the years where people have put things into comments and made me open my eyes to different aspects and which have improved this ship. So again, if you want to give any feedback, please do let me know. And yeah, apologies possibly for the sound quality. We moved country a few months ago. Again, partly another reason why I haven't really been doing that many videos. We moved, and my microphone that I had for my tablet has gone missing. I don't know where that is. We have had everything delivered. Really don't know where that is. So the sound is just going purely on the tablet microphone. So I don't know how good that will be. I'll have to listen back to this afterwards. But anyway, thank you guys. If you do like this content, please do like and subscribe. I will try and kind of put out videos a little bit more frequently from now on. Although I've said that before. But at least you know I'm still alive. Alright guys, take care. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.